my name is Megan Sybil, and I work with Iowa College Aid. And I'll just be getting us kicked off this morning before I hand it over to Meredith. So for the Back on Track week this week, Iowa College Aid and ICANN are hosting a variety of events really aimed at getting students on track to achieve their post-secondary dreams and adventures. You can find the link to other sessions that are happening this week in the chat box. So please do check those out. We have a lot of great sessions coming up. We're happy to have everyone here, and we're excited about this morning's session, Applying for Your Adventure. We're excited to have Meredith Lombardi from Common App here to join us today to dig into this topic and share more about it with us. I did want to go through just a couple of housekeeping items to make sure that our session today goes smoothly. So this is a Zoom meeting as opposed to a Zoom webinar. So what that means for us is that you as participants can unmute yourselves to ask questions. We do ask that if you're not asking a question to go ahead and keep yourself muted to sort of make sure we don't have any additional sounds coming into the presentation. The session is going to be recorded and will be available next week. This is something that you could ask your school counselor about accessing. And again, on the sort of asking questions during the presentation, you can ask your questions at a good stopping point during the presentation, or you can add them to the chat and we'll address them as we go. I think that's it from me. We're going to go ahead and launch into our session. So welcome, Meredith. The floor is yours.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Megan. Meredith Lombardi here. I work with the Common App, and I am here to share some information so that you feel prepared with the application process, but really to be here to answer any questions that you may have. We are maybe a small group, so this really is an opportunity for you to engage and not be shy. You know, you obviously can put your questions in the chat, but if you feel comfortable, you can always put your camera on and ask your question, as Megan said, by unmuting. You can also use the reactions if you want to raise your hand, and then we'll know that you have a question. So whether it's chat or raising your hand and coming off mute, however you're most comfortable, but this really is for you so that you can learn more and ask your questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get to the right place. Hold on. It's always a good idea. Okay. And okay, so hopefully you can see those okay. If at any time my audio cuts out, please let me know so that I'm not just talking and nobody can actually hear me. So yes, I work with Common App. I'm very thankful to Iowa College Aid and ICANN for inviting me. I have been with the organization for just about 6 years, and I was a school counselor before coming to Common App. And now I get to do events like this where I talk with students and families and school counselors about what they need to know about Common App and how they can best prepare for the application process. So just a quick little, agenda for what we'll go through today. I'll give an overview of Common App in terms of who we serve. I'll walk through the different parts of the application. I will point out where you can access tools along the way, and again, get to your questions. Again, since we're a small group, and if you feel comfortable, please feel free to put in the chat, where you're coming from. If you want to say a high school or city, or if you want to say what grade you're in, or if you're parents, you can say what grade your children are in, or if you're a counselor, just so we know who's in the audience today. And then just to kind of set us for what we're going through, I think that the Back to College event, or Back on Track, is, really thinking about the impact of COVID-19 and how decision-making may have changed over the last year and a half. And we've seen, changes in patterns of student behavior, and how do we get you excited again and re-engaged in the process as you return to school, start doing your college exploration, start those applications. I'm here to help connect you and get you engaged. You're participating in events like these to get you engaged. So I hope you'll use that as your momentum and motivation throughout this process. So you may or may not know that, depending on your level of knowledge about Common App, that each year more than 1 million students submit an application through Common App to apply to college, which is a pretty big number. We have been around for quite a while. We are a nonprofit membership organization. So the colleges and universities make up the membership of Common App. We've been around since 1975, where we started with 15 member institutions and now have grown to over 950 colleges and universities. So what this means for you is that if you choose to apply to a school through Common App, you get to create one account on the online platform, and then you can submit your application to multiple schools. In terms of where we're located or where our members are, it's really all over the United States and international. So we do have member institutions in all 50 US states, plus the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. We also have member institutions in 19 countries outside of the US. So if you are considering pursuing a bachelor's degree in another country, you'll also find schools on Common App that you can apply to. This is an image of a map that we traditionally mail out to high schools, and hopefully, your high schools will receive a copy of that updated map this fall, so you can actually see where all these different institutions are located. So we grow every year, right? There are new colleges that join each year. This year, starting on August 1st, when the new application cycle launched, we have 65 new member institutions. Half of those are public institutions in many states across the US. Overall, all of the new member institutions are in 23 different states, plus a few countries. I think one of the biggest things that we saw was that the full system of Illinois, so all of Illinois' public institutions, joined Common App this year. If you wanted to see the full list of new schools, you would be able to see that by going to our blog at commonapp.org/blog. Okay. In terms of, for you as a student in Iowa, we have 16 member institutions. 3 of them are public, so Iowa State, University of Iowa, and University of Northern Iowa. And then we have 13 private institutions. You'll see here the top 10 receiving institutions from students in Iowa. And something I think is important to call out is just the variety of schools that students apply to via Common App from your state. So last year, students from Iowa applied to 584 of Common App's member institutions. Now, last year we did have over 900 members. So, I think it is interesting to think about how do we help you as students learn more about the diversity of members that are on Common App, because you are not applying to, many hundred of schools that are on Common App, but hopefully this gives you a little sense of Common App. I'll also say that I can share these slides and hopefully they can get uploaded with the recording when this gets out on the Back on Track website. All right, so in terms of where you start with Common App, always a good place to go to our website, commonapp.org. At a minimum, when you go to explore colleges, you can actually look to see what school or any particular school, whether they are a Common App member or not. I think that, one of the bigger systems, for example, that's not on Common App are the California public schools. So if you were applying to a UC school or a Cal State school, you wouldn't find them on Common App. But this is always a good place to just start. You can look for a particular school. You can also do basic college searches. So if you don't know a particular school you're interested in, but you are interested in a certain region of the country, or you want to find certain schools based on their size, or if they have a specialized mission, if you're interested in attending a Hispanic serving institution or a historically Black college or university, you can find those by using filters here. You can also find schools that are test optional. Here, you can find schools that accept your self-reported SAT or ACT scores if you are choosing to share test scores. So lots of things that you can do here on Explore Colleges. You can also see everything on a map view. You can print your lists. So if you do create a search based on certain filters, you can then print that list off. And then you can also learn about each college that's a member of Common App. So if you just want to read a little bit more, you can do virtual tours of the schools. You can access image galleries. You can learn more about specialized programs, certain student experiences that the schools are highlighting. So again, even before you jump into the application, and even if you never jump into the application, but you just want to use Common App as an exploration tool, you can use the commonapp.org website for that. When it actually comes time to applying or creating an account through Common App, you start on the main page of the website, and then you can click Apply Now, or log in, or create an account. One thing to note is that Common App has traditionally been when we went online, has traditionally been paper, and then it moved to online and was a website application that you could access through, a web browser. This past year, we did launch the Common App mobile app. So you actually can, if you choose to, you can download the Common App so that you can complete your application through either through Google Play or the iTunes or Apple Store. Either one, it's free to download, but it's really up to you whether you are applying through the actual app, or you just go to commonapp.org, or you have both. I know even right on our phones, we sometimes are just scrolling through a web browser, but then we'll also go and use an app. So it's up to you. The information transfers seamlessly, no matter what platform you are using. One of the features of Common App, because again, depending on where you are in this process, if you're a senior or junior, or you are still a 9th or 10th grader, or just for counselor awareness, Common App has a feature called account rollover. What this means is that you don't actually have to wait until your senior year to create your account. You could create your account at any time, and we will roll over your information from year to year. So your username and password remain the same. Your list of colleges that you add into your Common App will carry over, and any answers that you complete that are on the Common App tab. Basically, any of the information that is not college specific, but is about you in those 7 sections listed there: profile, family, education, testing, activities, writing, and courses and grades. So we'll keep that information year over year. What doesn't roll over is anything that's on the My Colleges tab. So basically, if you create an account prior to senior year, you would not want to respond to any college specific questions. You also do not do the FERPA release, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which your counselor will certainly talk to you more about, as well as inviting recommenders. So those things do happen in your senior year or in the year that you are ready to apply. In terms of how Common App works with fees, we are a free platform to use. Every college determines if they're going to charge an application fee. So if I mentioned that there are over 950 members of Common App, over 400 of them do not charge an application fee. So you may find, as you are adding schools to your list, that you have schools that none of them charge fees, or some may charge fees and some may not. When it comes to a fee, the college it's it's like it is their application. They're just offering it through the Common App. So one school may have a fee of $30, one school may have a fee of $50. It really is up to the college, but you will see all of that within your Common App. If the application fee is a barrier for you, please know that there is an option to request fee waivers through the Common App. All students see the fee waiver request on the or in the profile section of the application. And some examples that you may see are if you receive an ACT or SAT fee waiver, or if you participate in the free or reduced lunch program, if you participate in certain programs through your state or local community that serve students from lower income backgrounds. So there's lots of ways, but it's important to know that applying to college as the fee should not be the reason that you don't pursue your education. All right, so this is, you've created your account, now you're in the application, what it looks like. There are 5 tabs at the top. And again, some of you may have your applications already created, so this is familiar to you. So I'm just going to highlight some of the things that to make sure that you know that these resources are there for you. We have filters that you can use in the application. So if you want to look for a particular school, or you want to do a search based on a zip code to find schools, or you want to find schools based on their requirements in terms of like testing or writing, or the number of letters of recommendation required. So lots of filter options you can use. You can also access the requirements grid here. This is the massive, think of like the spreadsheet of all Common App members, their different admission plans. So if they have early action or early decision or regular decision, or they're rolling, what their application fees are, deadlines, how many letters of recommendation are required, what their testing policy, all of that is in the requirements grid at that application requirements button. You can search for a particular school. You even have access to see just the requirements for the schools you are applying to through that. Once you go to college search and you add schools, next I pop over to the Common App tab. So I was mentioning, this is the information that rolls over from year to year if you create your account before your senior year. You get green check marks anytime you complete a section. So right now this is showing some subsection completion. When you complete a full one of the 7 sections, you'll see green check marks there as well. This lets you know that you're making progress with your application. We have FAQs embedded in the application to support you throughout the process. And also on the right-hand side where it says need help, you can connect with our Solution Center team at any time. So we have these FAQs, but then we also have access to our 24/7 support team. So if you have questions, please reach out. We do have chat that's going to be starting in just a few weeks. So you can chat with someone, or you can submit a help ticket and someone will usually get back to you in somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. This is the My Colleges tab, and it's really where you're actually submitting your application to individual colleges. So you're adding schools to your list. You come here to answer college-specific questions. So think about, a school's going to ask, are you applying, again, early action or regular decision, or early decision? Are you planning to live on campus? They're going to give you potentially lists of their majors, and you will indicate what you're thinking about. They just get to ask what they want to ask in addition to the Common App questions. So you'll do that here. You will do the FERPA release here, which gives your counselor and teachers that permission to send your transcript and letters of recommendation. You will invite and assign your recommenders here. Now, some of you may be at schools that use one of Common App's integration partners, a college software platform like Naviance or Maya Learning or Cialfo, for example. If your school uses one of those, then Common App will actually prevent you from inviting your counselor and teachers here, we'll say, hey, your school is using Navient. You should go out and, do that on the Navient platform. So we will control that for you. You don't have to worry about figuring that out. Again, if you ever have questions, always talk with your school counselor. Even if you attend a school, though, that does use one of those partners, you can still invite other recommenders through Common App. So let's say you have an employer that you wanted to write a letter, or a clergy member, or someone outside of the school. Completely optional, but some people do have that. And if that's something that you would like to do, you do have the option to do that within your Common App account. So after you are answering the questions, you're inviting your recommenders, this is also where you submit your application. You'll submit, you can pay here if there is an application fee. And you will also see that some schools have an additional writing supplement. So it's super important to check this out in the beginning so that you know upfront if there are any additional writing requirements, because those supplements are due at the same time as whatever the deadline is for a particular school. And you can jump around all of this at any time. So it's not like it's linear. If you want to look at your questions, but then go back and work on the Common App tab, you also can make edits. We get this question a lot. You can make edits between submissions. So you may submit here to Dartmouth and then need to make an edit to your activities list. On the Common App tab, you can do that before then submitting to your next college. This is the dashboard tab, which just gives you a summary of everything, where you can then, again, just help you know what you need in terms of deadlines and where you are with status. There's also a financial aid resources tab in the application. So you can, learn about the FAFSA. I'm sure that there's other sessions where you're going to be talking about the FAFSA, which opens on October 1st. You can get information about the CSS profile. Some of your colleges may ask for that aid form as well. You can also here connect with College Board scholarship opportunities through an integration that we have with them to help you kind of pre-populate some scholarship applications. You can get links on the financial aid resources tab direct to the financial aid websites for any school that's on your Common App list. So it's a great resource that you have right within your Common App. I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit, but this is the kind of just to talk about some of the sections within the application. So that was, I was showing you the 5 different tabs. Now this is coming back to the Common App tab and breaking down the activity section. You can report up to 10 activities. You do not have to have a full list of 10. So please know that. I think the average we see is around 5 that are reported by students. This is an area where it is about quality over quantity, but thinking about what's been most meaningful to you during high school. And really thinking broadly about what activities are. It may be a sport or a club or an organization that you've been part of. It can also be if you work, whether that's full-time or part-time or in the summer, or if you've had internships. If you have family responsibilities, that is included here in the activities section. If you have certain hobbies that you, anything that you have done to outside of the classroom that has, again, had an impact on you and has been meaningful, you can share here. You will have to give some level of description of these activities. And you will notice, I know it's small, but on the right-hand side, you will have some character limitations. And I think that students definitely have to spend a little time in this section because you have to really work within those character limitations. You also have to think about, estimating the number of hours per week and weeks spent per year. This is not about being like exact on those numbers, but just giving colleges a sense of, was this an activity that you've done in one weekend, but it had a really big impact on you? Or is it something that you do just every summer? Or is it something that you do year long? They're really just looking for that kind of understanding of when during the year and how often and how many, how much time of a commitment it is. On the Common App tab in the writing section, that's where you'll find the personal essay. And like activities to help colleges get to know you better, the essay is your opportunity for your voice to come through. So as opposed to filling out, check boxes and a little fields where you're putting your name and contact information, this is where you get to write about anything that you want colleges to use to get to know you better. You can choose from 7 different prompts. There's no right or wrong option in terms of what you're choosing, so that's really up to you. We do have a new prompt this year on gratitude. So you'll see now this: reflect on something that someone has done for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has this gratitude affected or motivated you? Just another option for you. And also you'll see this note here that we are integrated with Google Drive, the Common App. So if you do use Google Drive and you use that as an organizational tool, if you're working on your essays or your writing supplements or short answer responses, you can always grab that content anytime you see the Google Drive icon and pull that into your Common App. In the writing section, you're also going to find a COVID-19 question, which is encompassing of COVID-19 as well as community disruptions, which could be natural disasters, anything that has impacted a larger group in your community beyond you. So this is your opportunity, if you want it, to talk about how you have been personally affected by something like COVID-19. This is an optional question. It is not an essay, but it gives you space to talk about things like if certain activities were canceled, if you were learning virtually, if you, had to share a computer with a sibling at home while you were doing virtual learning. Anything that would just help give context to colleges as they're reading your application. If your school, moved to pass-fail grades for your 11th grade year. Whatever you think you want to share, again, it's not required. It's not an essay. Your counselor also does share information about the impact of COVID-19 on your school. They have that as a separate question in their counselor forms. But if you want the space, it's here for you. Last year, we saw around 1 in 3 students respond to the question. In terms of recommendations and recommender types, you're going to see 4 different kinds in the application. So your school counselor is going to be sending your official high school transcript to colleges. They'll also write a letter of recommendation for you, though not all colleges require it. And your counselor, if they're using Common App's recommender system, will be able to track your progress with the Common App, as well as see a PDF copy of your application in progress if you choose to share it with them. So that is an option that you have if you want to share that with your counselor. You'll also see that you can invite teachers to write letters of recommendation for you. There are no Common App member schools that ask for more than 2 teacher recommendations, just to give you that general guidance. I would say you can see here, most schools do not actually require teacher letters. It's 34% that require it, but it may be optional. So you just want to check each school you're applying to see what their recommendation requirements are. I mentioned earlier the other recommender, completely optional, but some students have a particular person that they want to write this outside letter. You do have that option through Common App. And then there's a fourth type called an advisor. This is optional. It's not someone who's writing any letters for you or submitting any forms, but it's someone who you can grant access to see your application progress. So just like the counselor can see your progress, you can invite advisors to see your progress as well. It can be as simple as just sharing your college list with them, or whether you've completed different parts of the application, or you can turn on application preview for your advisors so they can actually see your essay, your activity section, everything that's part of your application. So again, that's up to you, and you can invite up to 3 advisors. So that was a quick overview of the application. I'm just going to point out some places where you can find some tools. On the commonapp.org website, if you're looking for checklists in terms of, what should I be doing as a 9th grader or 10th grader, 11th grader, 12th grader, you can find that in the plan section. You can also access guides to the application here on the plan section, as well as the recommender system. You can find parent resources here, and you can find information about paying for college. We also have a toolkit called Common App Ready. So if you are someone who likes worksheets or handouts that are like PDFs, and you want to be able to print something and write things out, this might be a place for you to start. All of these resources are available in English as well as Spanish, and there are resources for all different parts of the process. So at the highest level, like what is Common App? How does the application work? We have handouts for that. There's also an application dictionary that just defines all of the terms that you may hear as part of this process. We also have one that is on navigating the essay. So if you don't know where to start in terms of looking at the different prompts, you can use that resource to help you think through where you might want to start and what you might want to write about. We are available 24/7. So anytime you have questions, you can reach out to us, again, either through the application, or you can go right to these websites. appsupport.commonapp.org answers questions all about the application. And then the recsupport.commonapp.org answers questions about the recommender process. If you're on social media, then please know that we also use our social media platforms to connect directly with students, to share resources and to uplift stories. So Better Make Room is part of Common App. This was part of Reach Higher, which was a initiative of former First Lady Michelle Obama's to encourage students to continue higher education. And you will find lots of inspiring stories of students out on the Better Make Room channels. Again, resource sharing. You are welcome to tag us anytime on social media. These are our different social media handles. So you'll find both Common App as well as Reach Higher and Better Make Room. We recently have ventured into TikTok and have been posting some fun instructional short videos on TikTok if you want to check those out. And I will leave you here with the, we've just spent 25 minutes, I guess, kind of learning more about Common App and the process. We are about to enter into October and a busy season of college applications. So, what is your takeaway? Like, what do you think you can do next as you begin this process or continue this process? And if you are a checklist kind of person, maybe you write down a few things that you want to do and accomplish, and then you have your list that you can then go to, and you can start checking those things off. With that, again, I'll leave you here with the email addresses for us, as well as the App Support website. But I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so I can answer any questions that people may have.
Thank you, Meredith. And for our attendees, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions or drop them in the chat, whatever you prefer. We will continue to have going forward our back on track sessions continuing to happen this week. I saw that Meredith had the slide with the contact information for Common App. So if you're working on this later and maybe have some questions, there's some good options there for connecting. And we have it there in the chat as well for anyone who would like to copy and paste that to save for later. We are going to go ahead and share a link to the other back on track sessions in the chat as well. And I think I'll just start moving through sort of our closeout information. But if anyone, please do feel free to jump in at any point if you do have a question that you'd like to put to Meredith. Excuse me, we did want to thank all of our partners who made this back on track session and the broader event calendar accessible. We did also want to share that access to the recording is going to be provided to school counselors next week in case it's something that you would like to access later to share with your students. That will be made available to you. And we also wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that on this coming Sunday, the Golden Circle College and Career Fair is happening in Altoona from 1 to 3. And if you're interested in learning more or attending, we'll put the link to that in the chat. It's a great way to connect with admissions counselors and employers kind of around our broader conversation for college and career planning. If we don't have any questions, thank you so much, Meredith, for joining us this morning. This has been great. We appreciate your time and sharing this great info on Common App.
Thank you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of the program and have a great week.
Thanks, Meredith.